So is this like the first chapter one again? Or are you going to go through the whole thing?
Yeah, just first chapter. Yeah.
So we're basically talking about...
Yeah.
Yeah, sweet.
So basically, you and I run a country.
A country?
If we ran a country, we wouldn't do mandates, tell you that. We run a company. We help tradies. We help them automate the quoting process. We help them to, interact with their customers on a quoting system that is far superior than anything else that is out there. And we also help them get websites. And we do that for $49 a month. So free, and that $49, I shouldn't say free, for that $49, you're paying for a website. That is probably the easiest way to generate a website.
That's the biggest one.
And we're going to get into that. Then we've got the online pricing system, which is available for some industries. This allows businesses to have something on their website which quotes work for their customers.
Yeah, your website's essentially working for you.
And we really began that journey of doing automated quotes in our own personal business, and we're going to get into that later. And then the last thing we offer is a way to sell products to customers in a far more engaging and easier way.
Easy, baby.
And it's for some of these industries that we're touching, we are actually able to do it where they would never have earned money on those products. So classic example is guys that are tilers don't earn money on the tiles they install, generally speaking. Like I'm talking 95% of the time. 99 is probably closer to the number. And with our system, these guys are actually able to generate real money into their real pockets and spend it in the real world. This is not some little kickback. It's not
discounts that you pass on to your customers.
Or even a discount at the store because you sold their tiles. It is, you sold $3,000 of tiles to a customer, you get $800 in your pocket. And so what we're really dealing with is something around 25% that these tilers are generating when they were usually getting 0%. And that's something we're really proud about. So really proud about our websites, really proud about our online pricing system and the amount of time it can save tradies. But then also very, very proud about being able to offer real money to real people who do real hard work.
Yeah. And these are all things that we experienced in our business before this. Which is
so
where it comes into your tiling business.
So I'll give a little background on myself, then you give a little background about yourself, and then we'll jump into our story. How we kind of went from running a tiling business to actually running this tech business that helps tradies.
Maybe should I go first because then you go into your tiling stuff. Let's do that.
Perfect.
I'm Jerome. My background's actually in education. Josh and I actually met at high school. You and I met at high school. I went off and became a teacher, and then it wasn't until 2018 I was actually overseas in London, come back, and then you tell me about coming to work for you, getting my hands dirty, learning this new skill of tiling, and that's how we got into business together.
Yes, right. And so my experience was obviously grew up in the Wairarapa, all of that. Ended up moving to Auckland. Now in the Wairarapa I had worked with my cousin and done my apprenticeship, most of my apprenticeship with him, and ended up completing my apprenticeship in Auckland. And after getting qualified, making all the mistakes that an apprentice makes and much more.
Some good ones.
Like cutting around a light bulb. A tiler cutting around a light bulb that was lying on the ground. That's literally what I was up to. I think probably the shortened version of why I run a tech business, because I couldn't do that. No. I really love tiling and started getting into the possibility of running a business. I run that business, I grow that business, and I start to really encounter the problem of quoting. I think when you're working for yourself and just by yourself, it's a problem. Hey, this quoting, it is time consuming, but you kind of accept that it's just a problem. What happened when I actually started running a business that was growing and I had staff and all of that, it started to occur to me that I was losing a lot of my time quoting. And so I wanted to find a way that I could actually place this quoting that I was doing onto my webpage where a lot of my traffic was coming from. And so I had a quick one on a website. As I actually generated a website myself. I made it on Wix.com, but it was a time-consuming process that I actually had the skill to make. I'd done a bit of website making in my past, and so
you knew computers, sort of
knew
thing.
computers. I'd done computer science at school. I just understood it. I would say more than the average tradie.
Right.
And so I made my own website. Very time-consuming though. Type out all the text,
Yeah.
put in all the images, time-consuming thing. Get all the layout right. And so, I had this guy just randomly come across my path that had generated a online pricing system for water blasting. Now, I had looked in the tiling world and there was nothing. I had looked in the painting world, there was nothing. I looked at most trades and there generally was nothing in the online pricing side. And so I wanted to, I asked this guy, hey, could you make something for tiling? And he said, yep, you need to do this and that, this and that. And so I ended up making a spreadsheet. I ended up making a template of how I wanted to look, some wireframes, they call them, and created this thing that would live on my website. Now, this is where you kind of
I come in around
3/4 of the way came through the door. And I think, Jerome, you had this idea that you were going to
be tiling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I thought, man, it would be like I'd be able to learn this skill. I can go, improve my parents' home, sort of stuff like that. And I think the first week I was on the tools, and after that it was all in the office, just trying to bring this idea of online quoting to life, because like you said, it was nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, and I think really at the very start of this thing, it was very exciting. Like, we're going to release this thing onto our webpage, we're going to do all this, but I think at the same time there was doubt. I'm not sure how much doubt was in your mind, but in my mind, I just thought practically about it all, and I was thinking, this is not going to probably work. It might, but it might not. And I was spending a bit of money on it, but I was just convinced that there was a huge possibility that it could work. But I think as we got closer to releasing it, I was thinking, I don't know about this one. Then we ended up releasing it, right? You were saying the date the other day. February the 6th or something.
Yeah, Waitangi Day. Waitangi Day 2018 or something like that. 19.
Waitangi Day, we end up, which is a day here in New Zealand, where we celebrate the union between the Māori people and the Pākehā people, basically between the Crown and Māori people. And so on February 6th, we
launched the thing. Yeah.
Now, 2 months later, well, should we go 2 months later, or should we go?
Maybe we should go into like what it actually was, because it was pretty easy to go through.
Yeah, we could do that then.
Yeah, I could. Yeah. So we obviously knew that it had to be easy for people to understand, and so it was basically 4 steps, or 3 essentially. We'd have the customers come onto our website. First thing that they do is just choose an area. Pretty simple: bathroom, kitchen. That was a no-brainer. And then in the next step, they'll just be presented with a list of services that they needed. And again, these are pretty logical, common sense one. Like most people know, if they're going into some sort of project, hey, I need a bit of floor tiling here, wall tiling here, subway, splashback stuff, everything like that, niches. They just choose which services that they needed, put in really easy measurements like linear meters or square meter areas. And then third step is that they could choose tiles if they wanted to use tiles in this project. And then last step, basically put in their contact details, and then get the price delivered to their inbox. So really simple. Really simple.
And one of the advertisements we use, we probably should say, we spent $1,000 a month on advertising, which in the scheme of things isn't actually that big. I used to spend $1,000 before the online pricing system, but for me it was a good testing number because I'd already done it before. And so we end up releasing these ads, and one of the ads that goes to your point of how easy it was, we were saying, turn 5 days into 5 minutes with our online pricing system. Because traditionally it's quite difficult for a customer to get a quote. They have to sacrifice time out of their schedule to meet the tradie. They also, especially because we're answering the issue of tiles as well, usually people would have to travel to different stores to view tiles, but now they were able to view them online. Now there's a whole lot of other issues online, right? You're not feeling the tile, you're not experiencing the tile, not seeing it in its form in the actual light. And so what we would do is send samples out to customers. And so we're really like happy, that this what we were trying to get from this, which is an easier way to get a quote to a customer, we were achieving that. But then also we were able to earn money on these tiles that we were distributing on our site. Yeah.
And it was really easy because, like your point, a lot of customers that we were speaking to struggled to get the tradesmen in to even come look at the job. Whereas with our website, they could do it in the evening, they could do it midnight, they could do it while they're sipping on a glass of wine, watching, TV or something like that. They can get a price delivered to their inbox.
I remember one lady that I dropped off some samples to. She did her quote. She's like quite a busy lady. She runs some factory or something like that here in Auckland. And I dropped off some tile samples to her, and she was saying, "Oh yeah, it was awesome. I was able to do it while I was at work."
Yeah.
So these people were searching up in their like lunch break sometimes saying Tyler, Auckland or whatever. Boom. They were finding us and they were able to get a quote straight away rather than waiting. And we probably should say the way that it would get to them is it wouldn't just stay on our website. What would happen is they would put their details in, like their email and their phone number, and they would actually get the quote to their email. And then we would get a quote as well of the quoted price and also all the materials that we needed to fulfill the job, as well as the contact details of the customer, location where they are,
job details, all the services that they need, measurements.
And total price, all that kind of stuff as well. It was a hugely valuable tool that really, when I think about it, we didn't actually kind of initially think of all of that stuff. It was just stuff that we discovered as we started to solve that one core problem of quoting. It was like, we could actually get this job sheet and we could just flick it to one of our tilers and they could do it. It was a hugely valuable tool that we didn't actually foresee being as valuable as it was. And so let's fast forward 2 months. So after 2 months, we spent $2,000 on advertising, $1,000 every month. We've actually received 120 quotes and 43 accepted quotes. Now, from this, that is the actual average. It wasn't our average. We were shooting a bit higher than that. We were getting a bit, if we did 120 quotes, we get more than probably 43 accepted. But we were only getting 43 accepted. And there's a few reasons from this, for this. It's new technology, but also we raised our prices. So usually we were about $90 a square meter, but we were actually charging $120. Now, if you're $120 a square meter, you could probably charge $150. I don't know, but we were charging about 90 something, and we ended up charging $120. Now, also on this, Tyler's going to be listening to this saying, "Man, that's cheap as," or whatever their perspective is on it. Remember, this was 2018. It's a lot different from right now. Tilers are so high in demand.
They're hot bloody commodities, aren't they?
Yeah, they can charge what they want to. Lucky bastards. So, we 120 quotes, 43 accepted quotes.
We didn't have to travel for any of those. We didn't have to speak to anyone for any of those quotes. It was all automated.
And I think that is a phenomenal thing when you actually start to look at how much time you spend on quoting. If I was to do 120 quotes, it would probably take me something about 360 hours to do. 360 hours divided by 40, what's that?
I don't know.
Let's have a look at that, because that's how many weeks it would take me to quote.
And that would be just full-time quoting, right? Like we were quoting as well as project managing, doing some tiling work as well. As well as having time to ourselves. I think it's a big point.
So 360 divided by 40, boom. 9. We should have known that. 4 times 9 is 300.
Wasn't a math teacher.
There's people on the podcast going, it's 9.
You idiots.
But 9 weeks.
That's over 2 months already.
Yeah. So that's literally just quoting non-stop for your full-time job.
Yeah.
And what we were doing is we weren't doing any of that. We got 43 accepted quotes. And from those 43 accepted quotes, we had $360,000 of revenue. Was it 360?
No. You're short by 10.
Oh, 370,000. Yeah. $370,000 of accepted quotes on our revenue. We ended up fulfilling all those jobs.
Yeah.
And we had all that spare time.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the significant numbers is 77. 43 accepted, but 77 said no. Those 77 people, I didn't need to go to their house.
Yeah.
I didn't need to talk to them about their dog, their cat, their kids, and how school's going. I didn't need to measure up their job and get in my car and travel all the way back and pay all that petrol fuel and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That was not a part of my business.
Yeah. So those no's didn't hurt.
Nah. I mean, how many times as a tradie do you get no and it just sucks?
Yeah.
Man, I spent all this time quoting your job and now you say no?
Yeah.
I mean, some people have no idea what a job is going to cost them, and they use a tradie to find out what that idea is going to cost, what it's going to cost them. And then they're like, I don't have enough money for that.
Yeah. Don't even reply.
Yeah, I don't want to, like, just be that for people.
Yeah, I don't want to be a ballpark figure, like,
And so for us, it gave us an opportunity to kind of weed out those people that were kind of worth our time and people that weren't.
Yeah.
And at the very most, what we were doing with people was we were checking, hey, we sent you a quote the other day. How did you feel about that price?
Exactly.
Oh, it's too expensive for me. Oh, cool, no problem at all. And they're like, thank you very much for, giving us a price though. It's good to get an idea of what it's going to cost. And that was it.
That's it. Have a nice day. Bang.
Good service for them. Great service for us.
Yeah.
3 hours that we get back by not traveling to their house, by not going home and writing out that quote for them, not doing all that, having it automated, that's a whole lot of time in our pocket. But then also for the customer, it's the easiest, fastest way for them to get a quote.
Yeah. And I think that plays a big part in, securing a job as well.
Yeah.
If you are the tradie providing this easy, convenient, professional looking service, I think that really helped our brand. We were like, oh, we are a legit company. I trust these guys. Yeah. And let's go, let's do it, sort of thing.
And if you're the company that can't get out to do quotes for people, they just think you're too busy. They think, oh, this guy's too busy anyway. Or he's really in demand, but he's just too busy. When we were able to get quotes to customers, we are saying to them that we respect your time.
Yeah.
We've made it even easier. You don't have to have a stranger at your house. Don't have to have any of that interaction before first figuring out whether you are in our ballpark.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You're in our about's price.
Yeah. And also, we were fulfilling quotes throughout the country.
Yeah.
It wasn't. We were based in Auckland. Most of our jobs were in Auckland, but we were doing jobs outside of Hamilton, down on the coast in Wellington, and all because we were able to provide a really quick service to people, and they respected that.
And initially, it wasn't part of our focus. We were planning just to do Auckland, and then what kind of happened is as you're just playing out with different business models, you try different things. And we would do a little bit of advertising down, like spend $200 in Wellington or whatever, and people would actually get a job for us. And one of our bigger jobs was down there, about 60, 70 or something like that. Yeah. And then another job we had was that's $60,000-$70,000, by the way, not 60-70 square meters.
Just for the tiling, sorry.
Yeah, just for the tiling. Then also in Auckland, we had a $90,000 job, which was, it was like that basement, bathroom tiling thing.
Yeah, so we're doing it like commercial clients. Numerous commercial clients will come to us, as well as, residential clients looking for small splashback jobs who were kind of like stuck because they weren't getting quotes, right? Yeah.
The way I always like to think about it too is you've always got your line in the water.
Yeah.
And it's always baited. It's just like if there's a fish that's there and it's going to bite on something, you don't have your line out of the water.
Yeah.
You're not like sleeping at nighttime.
Yeah.
We were able to answer everybody's question around quoting when it came to what is this going to cost me. We were able to answer that at 1 a.m. We were able to answer it at 6 a.m. in the morning while they were on their way to work. We were able to answer that at all times, in all places, as long as the person had a mobile phone or had a computer.
Yeah. And the fact that, we were getting big jobs, which were like up in the, $90,000 range, to smaller jobs. Like the smaller jobs were actually better, and you could probably speak a bit more about that in regards to price. But for me, there was like doing a bit of project management of that smaller job. It was way less of a headache, dealing with the smaller jobs rather than these bigger jobs. But we were getting these smaller jobs because we were able to like get that price, and it was actually really profitable, right?
Yeah, well, you know why those jobs were easier for us to get? It's because tradies in general don't want to go and travel out to these little jobs because they're doing the same math that we are. I travel for job A, it's $3,000. I got to still go home. I still got to argue with my wife while I'm home late. I still got to type out that quote and send it to the customer. These are both worth the same amount of cost to me.
Right.
But the benefit is this guy could say yes, and it's a $20,000 job, and this guy could say no, and it's or yes or no, and this is a $3,000 job. Which one's worth my time? Which one's costing me really more when you look at the opportunity? Oh man, forget that little job. I want to go to the bigger job.
Yeah.
And so for us, a lot of the people we were serving were people with littler jobs that were actually worth way more.
Yeah.
But people just didn't realize it because they couldn't be bothered traveling to these sites. And because they couldn't be bothered traveling, there was hardly anyone quoting their jobs or even wanted to quote their jobs. And so we were able to quote a lot higher than normal.
Way higher. Yeah.
And get those jobs.
Yeah.
So for us, it became this really valuable tool. We were probably earning the most we definitely were, the most we had ever earned as a company.
Yeah.
And we were actually spending the least time getting that work than we ever had before. And
it's not like this thing provides a quote and you've got to abide by that quote either.
Yeah.
We had it in the terms and conditions like, this is, subject to things, site inspection if needed, or like a discussion or photo of a job sort of thing.
Yeah.
And we could always just change the price. So we were like covered.
I mean, that little area of time, that 2 months, was a hugely validating time for us. I mean, I didn't expect results like that. I expected that there would be quotes, but I didn't expect it would be, I kind of expected smaller jobs. But when those bigger jobs came and everything in between and the smaller jobs, all of that stuff started to happen. It started to really put this thing in me that, man, this is actually probably going to be the future.
Yeah.
This is, and then also other tilers saying to us, hey,
was I going to say?
Man, how's that thing going? I say, really good. I go, can I get it?
Yeah. We were passing jobs on to other people.
Yeah, true.
Down south, passing jobs.
Or even in Auckland, we were just passing jobs to people. Yeah. And so, I mean, this is a little like flashback a couple of years now into a time when we were just starting to use this in our own business and starting to realize this had real legs. And when other tilers started to approach us and say, hey, and I mean, a lot of these tilers, one of them was my cousin, another one was some friends that I had here in Auckland, and even some other guys throughout the country, that it became very apparent that this was something that other tilers wanted too. And so we started to investigate. What could that look like if we shared what we have found to work for our business, if we shared it with their businesses and solved their problem of quoting too?
Yeah, because for me, not being in this space and then speaking to some of these other tilers, I actually cared to help solve it for them, because I would hear stories about tilers quoting during their lunch breaks, tilers with their kids spending Saturday morning going to quote a job. Like, to me, I was like, I remember Saturday mornings, you go play sports with your kids, sort of, you go do that sort of stuff, not go and quote jobs.
Yeah. Oh man, that's, I can even tell you as a family man, especially that time, family was a new thing for me. And I remember, like being able to go home early well, 5 o'clock type thing,
At a normal time.
and not have to go do a quote. I mean, what would happen is I would get asked to go do a quote, and I would say, yeah, cool, I'll meet you at like 5:30, and I won't get home till 6:30. So either means I have to work longer on my job site, or I have to travel, depending on traffic, right? Travel to where they are and just wait it out until they get there. I mean, these are things that I'm being generous when I say 2-3 hours for a quote.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you look at the actual time, when you talk about traveling there, waiting in traffic, waiting for the customer, meet them, talk to them, get to know them a bit, go measure up the job, get back in the car, travel all the way back to your home, then sit there on the computer, type out the quote. That's a lot of time.
Yeah. To sometimes hear nothing back, like, that also just pisses me off. That is fucking frustrating.
But for the vast majority of tradies, they accept that. And Kwotimation is literally the shared version of what we kind of sold for our business for $49 a month. It includes the website. It includes the online pricing system if it's available for your industry. It includes all the additional add-ons, the interactive quote, the manual quoting, the website. I've already said that. I mean, it includes everything. And I think it's an incredible deal. And now that we're able to take that out to all trades, like, I would really jump on it if I was a tradie. Super, super affordable, and easy option for your customers and for you as a business owner. Yeah. That's
why we're here, to make it easy and affordable for tradies, so that they can live better lives.
And that is, in brief, an abbreviated story of how we've kind of gone from, or part of the story of going from, running a tiling business, being a tradie, to actually running this tech business that shares the solution that we discovered. And so we are going to be sharing more of that story. We're going to tell you about how we went from, finally actually figuring out, hey, this thing is working for our business, and that transition to actually, like, what could this look like if we could share it with other people. And so we're going to take you for the whole journey. We actually did some fun stuff. We raised some money from investors. We ended up
hiring some smart people,
much smarter than us people, to help us develop the product, and it's a cool story. And then we ended up launching the product, and some of our learnings from that too. So that's our first episode. Thank you very much to